Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how to create configurable parts in Onshape. So in the last video we created this Lexian to brace drive, and it's the width is 2.5 inches and the length is 1.5 inches. So if we wanted to switch the length, instead of doing it manually, it would be nice if we had it automatically update if we were to configure it. So the same way that C channels or spacers are able to configure, it would be nice if we could do that with this. So when you create Lexan and other stuff, you're going to need to do that on your own. So you would open the configuration panel, and this is where you do all your configuration. So editing it like that. So in this case, um, there's three different types of inputs that you can have. One being a list. So for this would be for like screws or spacers, where they don't make them an infinite amount of sizes. They just have, let's say for spacers, 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, and then 1/2 size. So this is for cases like that where you have a set amount and it's not like an infinite um, amount of sizes. Then there's also checkbox, which is pretty intuitive, which is like if there's a feature or not that should be in your sketch. And then there's also configuration variables, which are more customizable but a little more advanced. So in this case, we're gonna be making it configurable based off how long it is, how wide it is, and the number of holes that are in the middle. So we're gonna be using configuration variables for these three. So we're going to start by creating a configuration variable and then creating it as an integer because it won't be a length that we're configuring it by, but instead by the holes. So we're going to have be an integer, and we can name this, we can start with the length. So we'll name it length. And then actually, I'm going to edit the definition, and I'll set the default to 3 because 3 is like a good number. And we'll set the minimum to 1, or actually minimum to 2 holes here. And we'll just set the maximum to, let's say, 10. So now that we have that defined, we'll be able to use this hashtag length as a variable within our sketch. So based off how much the length is, we'll be able to put it in for certain stuff that we have in our sketch. And based off the hashtag length that's put in, it'll change how the sketch is. So for example, since the length represents how many holes that there will be in this direction and this direction, we can change for the linear pattern, we can have 3, instead of it just being 3 by default, we can have it be hashtag length instead. So what this does is if we were to change the length in configurations to, let's say, 4, then it would add another hole. And then if we changed it to 2, then it would limit it to 2 holes. So that's how configuration and their variables work. So we can set it back to 3. And then we can do the same thing on the side with the linear pattern. So we can set this to hashtag length since both sides will be the same. And then after, we should also update the length of this sketch, so the actual Lexan itself. So to do that, since there's 0.5 inches per each hole, we would do 3 inches, or we do hashtag length divided by 2, since there's 2 holes per inch. That allows it to be updated as well. So if we were to change it to 4 again, then it extends the Lexan here. And you may notice that this length doesn't match with this length. And to do that, we can fix it easily by doing equal and set it so that's equal as well. So now, from now on, it'll be the same on either side, and it'll update no matter the length. So like that, and so on. So this is for length, and then we can do the same thing for width. Right now, I'm gonna fix how some of this stuff is dimensioned, so because it can be a little bit better. So I'll have this instead. Yeah, I'll have this be 0.25. Then I'll have this be 0.75. Or actually, delete that. I'll delete that. Have this be 0.75. Since we don't want width to cause issues. So yeah, after this, we exit the sketch. and then we can add another configuration input, and then name this width. So have it as an integer, name it as, or not name it, set the default, we can have that be 5. We can set the minimum to be, let's say 3, and then maximum we can just say 10 again. And then from here, we can use the width variable in our sketch. So for example, with the width, that's mostly gonna be factored in with this. So we would have this be width divided by 2, width divided by 2. So now when we change the width, it'll update the length of that. So we can see that 6 wide, it would be a little bit longer than 5 wide, and that's good. And then same thing with number of holes. So for the number of holes, we can add another configuration variable, name this number of holes, have that be an integer, set the minimum to 1, default can be 3, and maximum can be 10. Then same thing as before. For number of holes, it's going to be related with this. So this is the amount of circles in this linear pattern. So we can name this to be number of holes. And um, since we're inputting 3 as the default, and there's 3 holes in the middle, but this hole is also a part of the pattern, it's going to show up as 4. So we're going to need to add 1 to number of holes, so that way it works properly. Because um, we want this to be representing the number of middle holes, and we're just going to need to offset it by 1. So we're just going to add 1 to that. And if we were to change the number of holes, let's say make it 2 middle holes, then it'll change and have 2 middle holes here. But you may notice that it's not incremented, it's not like in the middle. So to fix that, um, we'll change the amount that it increments by, and then base that off of the number of holes as well. So the way that it's going to be incremented is hashtag width divided by 2, and then minus 0.5, and then divide that by the number of holes. Let's see if it auto filled in, and then um, number of holes, and then add 1 as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There needs to be one more. Let's see. And this is how you can get it to be incremented properly. So now you can see that the holes are centered, and now you have a configurable part. So now you can change the design of this. So you can change the length anymore now. So it could be 4 long, it could be 6 wide, could have 4 holes, and so on.